In the headlines, WAWU finalizes collective labor agreements for Central Credit Union and courts employees. Royal Bank resumes operations at the Bayfront after a March evacuation due to health concerns. And a challenge by local priest Father Branca John for workers to give a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this. Thank you for staying with us. First up, staff and employees of the Central Cooperative Credit Union can now look forward to improved working conditions and better pay. This after the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union signed a collective labor agreement with their employer, the Central Cooperative Credit Union.
Brother Amo Thomas was in fact the chief negotiator, assisted by the shop steward, and they were able to complete and indeed sign this collective labor agreement, which provided for improved benefits and, of course, increased wages for the staff and employees of Central. The increase that they got effective from the 1st of January, that would put some more money into their pockets with all of its retroactivity. The second thing is that because Central is operating almost similar to the National, where you have branches all over the country, that in the case of Central, of course, they have Portsmouth and they have Goodwill and Roseau. Workers will be able to be transferred from one location to another, and they would get what is called a displacement allowance to cover their transport costs and to cover any other costs. But besides that, we were able to sort of strengthen some of the conditions that we had, and where we had reaction from our members in relation to the application of a number of the articles, that we were able to strengthen it and to get a clear understanding from the management as to the interpretation of those. So the staff will, in fact, be enjoying. And I am tickled by one who indicated to me, you better sign quickly for me to get my back pay. And that was done. I therefore guess that he's quite happy now with the back pay that he have got and the improved conditions that we have secured for them.
This agreement for Central Cooperative Credit Union staff is just one of two collective agreements completed by WAWU last week. The other agreement with Courts Dominica Limited is yet to be signed. In related news, employees of Courts Dominica Limited, represented by the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, could have their finalized collective agreement signed any day now. WAWU's Secretary-Treasurer Curtis Augustus says that agreement concluded last week secures increased benefits and wages for courts staff.
I was assisted by the shop steward of courts to come to the agreement that we were able to finalize. Soon we will be signing the agreement. I must also take the opportunity to thank courts for what they did for their staff during and following the passage of Hurricane Maria, where they provided relief for the staff and also gave staff some $1,000 to cushion the impact of Hurricane Maria. So notwithstanding what they have done, they were able to sit with us and to come to the agreement which provides improved benefits for the staff of courts.
Augustus noted that in spite of Hurricane Maria, the union was still able to negotiate improved benefits and salaries for courts workers. The trade union submission was made prior to the passage of Hurricane Maria. On the entertainment scene, Dominica's Jazz and Creole Festival is being hailed a quality product despite some challenges. The 9th edition of the Jazz and Creole was held on Pentecost Sunday, and notwithstanding some hiccups, Director of Tourism Colin Piper says the organizing body was able to put on a successful show.
Dealing with some of the challenges we had, especially the wind up at Fort Shirley, which really caused havoc with some of the logistics of setting up. And also in terms of the sound, I still think we were able to provide some quality sound and just a quality show in general. I was happy to see a number of things. I was happy to see probably more younger people and youth, including children that I'd seen before, which means that people are really embracing the family atmosphere, which is good, and which means that even with the children now, you're creating a repeat visitor. So they will come to a point in time where they're no longer 12 and they have to pay a little something, and then they're no longer 18 and they'll have to pay full price. But in general, I think it was good. I also think that the quality and mix of artists that we presented on stage was good.
Though there's been no official count of tickets yet, Piper says the authority did cater to a reduction in patrons due to Hurricane Maria.
The number of tickets that we normally would have sold before were lower in terms of the specials. And that's because we had fewer fringe events before. But we do know that at one of the ticket providers, they had already sold out of the tickets they had before the event. And we know that there was, just a crazy rush at the gate between 4 and 8 p.m. So,
as regards the future of Jazz and Creole, a few key changes are on the cards for next year.
So the intention is to really try to improve on the ability to bring visitors in. And in order to do so, we recognize that it's better to have maybe a 2-day, 3-day event than just 1 day. So we're looking for ways that we can build up maybe the Friday, the Saturday to be a bigger event. We're also looking for a date different than Pentecost, because we want to try it out and see what happens if we don't go head-to-head against the Tier de Blues in Maryland. So where hopefully in the next month or so we'll be able to indicate, once we've looked at the surveys and we've had some more internal dialogue, we'll be able to come up with an official date for Jazz and Creole next year. The hope is that budget will get approved, and if so, that we'll be able to get the show on the road as far as that goes, to create an amphitheater at the Fort Shirley. It's something that's been on the cards for quite a while. We're just hopeful through the Ministry of Tourism that we'll be able to get that done this year.
Main stage performers at this year's Jazz and Creole were Pan in Harmony, Stars, Michael Henderson, Xavier Strings from Trinidad, and Ecstasy Band. And in case you missed it, here are a few excerpts from Sunday's Jazz and Creole. other news, Dominican laborers have been challenged to give a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, especially as the country rebuilds post-Hurricane Maria. The call was made by parish priest for the St. Patrick's Parish, Father Branca John, during the observance of Fete Isidore on Monday.
If your work begins at 8 o'clock, you should be there before that. Don't stroll in at 9:30 and then take a coffee break at 10:30 and then at 1:45 you want to go for lunch. You come back at 3 and then 3:45 you want to go at your home. No. Give a fair day's work for a fair day's pay because you want to get paid. Fairly and honestly. If you're working for the government, don't think, well, you can do what you want. It's your party that's in power, so you can do what you want. No, Professor, you are cheating the public. You're cheating all of us because it's taxpayers' money and paying you.
John says following the hurricane, while many people's jobs are not entirely secure, they should always be thankful for the ability to work.
So whatever you're doing, if you're a teacher or nurse or farmer like Isidore, whatever it is that your work is, you can give glory to God in your work by giving thanks to God for giving you the chance to work. Many of our brothers and sisters are unemployed or underemployed, especially since Maria, Hurricane Maria. And those of us who have the privilege of going to work or the privilege of an income, we must not forget that this is a great gift from God. Fair day's work for fair day's pay. Isidore understood that. To give the Lord your best. Because ultimately, you are working for God. And the Lord will judge us based on our work and how much we gave. And whether we were selfish in our time, the Lord will judge us on this.
Isidore is the patron saint of farmers and laborers. The feast day is celebrated in the villages of Granville, Saint-Sauveur, Good Hope, and Petit-Soufrière. You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break. Welcome back. The Royal Bank of Canada has resumed normal operations since the institution closed its doors back in March this year, citing air quality concerns posing a health threat to staff.
The building was deemed unsafe and the bank was looking to relocate its operations, maintaining only the ATM service. The action to partially shut down meant the majority of employees would not be on the job. The Secretary-Treasurer of WAU, the Workers' Bargaining Unit, says previously the public only had access to the bank services for only 2 hours a day, and some customers had difficulty using the ATM. But Curtis Augustus has welcomed the resumption of the service that he says the public has grown to expect, saying this is good news. Trade union negotiations on behalf of Royal Bank staff is due to begin on Thursday. The union says it's looking forward to the negotiations with RBC, hoping to secure similar benefits for workers as it did for courts and CCCU workers. The Waterfront and Allied Workers Union represents 18 of the Royal Bank's employees.
Cuba's ambassador to Dominica, His Excellency Juan Carlos Frometa de la Rosa, says he has received condolence messages from Dominica's Minister for Foreign Affairs as his country continues to mourn after Cuba's deadliest air disaster in 30 years. The toll from Friday's plane crash rose to 111 on Tuesday after one of the 3 survivors died of her injuries on Monday evening. The BBC is reporting that the news comes the same day that Mexico's Civil Air Authority suspended the operations of a company that owned the plane involved in the crash. The 2 other survivors, one 19 and the other 39 years old, remain in critical condition. And the Minister for Agriculture has taken a tough stance on the issue of extension officers with a view towards changing the way they are deployed for greater productivity.
But the minister has also expressed a desire to ensure that incentives or a reward system is in place to motivate them towards the ministry's crop production goals.
We believe that with the money from the World Bank, with the dedication of our staff, we'll make that condition a little easier. Let's see what we can do about transportation. Let's give them some more men. Let's see how we can assist them and facilitate them. Let's give them incentives. So if I give a man to give me 100 acres of dashing by the end of the year, if that extension officer can give me 100 acres of dashing by the end of the year, I think by the end of the year I should keep a little party for him and give him a little cake. And give him a little incentive. Give him some incentive. Because we have to incentivize our workers. When the man work well, you must reward him for working well. When he work bad, you must tell him he work bad. But when he work well, you must also tell him he work well and encourage him to work well and to work better.
The minister also reassured farmers who have not yet received financial assistance under the World Bank's $18 million emergency assistance program for farmers and fishers following Hurricane Maria.
Right now, they're reviewing because there was a dispute mechanism. So if you are not satisfied with what you got, you have to write a letter, and they have an arbitration committee that is sitting and reviewing your case. Now, we found a number of cases where simple matters, the name not properly spelled on the check and the reason was different. Some people check still there, you know, but they went to the wrong place for the check. But the check is at the right place. Some people apply for themselves and their wife, you could only get for one. So that is issues. But we have begun to correct some of those situations, and we're hoping by the end of this month, we would have taken care of all the issues with the World Bank.
Austri believes his predecessor, Honorable Johnson Drygo, laid a good foundation for him. He says that coupled with the $25 million from the World Bank, is a good platform from which to carry out his mission.
To end the news, the headlines again. WAWU finalizes collective labor agreements for Central Credit Union and courts employees. Royal Bank resumes operations at its Bayfront office after a March evacuation due to health concerns. And a challenge by local priest, Father Branca John, for workers to give a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.